podcast of ComicDrops.com. If you're joining us today for the first time, I'd like to welcome all of you handsome men and gorgeous gals out there. Thank you for joining us today. It actually means a lot. In case you couldn't tell by the title, we are reviewing Suicide Squad, the latest movie to come from the DC Films kind of division of WB. And yeah, we all have our certain thoughts on it. We'll give our spoiler-free thoughts in the beginning, which you're about to hear, and then we'll cover our overall thoughts on the movie, give it a rating out of 10, all that good stuff. And then once we get that out the way, we'll dive into spoilers, kind of give our spoiler talk about, you know, the characters and, you know, just the spoilery bits of it. And yeah, before we dive into the review, I'd like to introduce my fellow homies. So first up, we have Ander Lilly. Ander, what's going on, dude?
Not too much. Glad to be back.
I was waiting for it. I was waiting for it.
Oh.
It has to be there. It has to happen.
You know, we should all take a page from Ander. He's always happy. He's always glad to be back.
He's always glad to be back.
Always. And once again, we have Ander Lilly. Ander, I'm not. And Jesus Christ.
I'm glad to be back.
Alex, what's going on, man?
Nothing much. I'm really excited to talk Suicide Squad, honestly.
Solid. And yeah, we have Caboose back again.
Wow. Thank you so much for that introduction. You know, I feel like you're the most excited for me to be on this podcast right now. I'm getting that kind of vibe. But what's going on, everybody? I'm glad to be back.
You're taking Ander's
That's my
time.
thing.
It's unbelievable. All right, so let's dive into it. Of course, like I said, Suicide Squad is the next movie to come from the DC Films division of WB. It's the third movie in the DCEU, and so far, the DCEU in like a nutshell has just been kind of divisive for fans and critics. Okay.
I think kind of is an understatement.
Yeah, I was about to say, I was like, not kind of. It's been pretty divisive, and it's kind of annoying, especially for somebody as me who really likes DC and I like the DCEU, so I mean, like, you know, I was looking forward to this movie, and it came out, saw it yesterday, and I guess everybody saw it yesterday, right? Or except for you, Caboose, you saw it on Wednesday, right?
I saw it on Wednesday and Thursday. I saw it yesterday as well.
Okay.
Yep.
We never start with Ander with these things. I feel kind of bad. So, Ander, why don't you kick off the review today? What did you think of Suicide Squad?
I thought it was okay. Yeah,
Gasp.
Oh boy, I'm gonna get kicked out. But I actually liked how much of like a comic book movie it felt. Like how like it was really colorful. Like right in the beginning with all like those neon colors and. Like for the introductions, I liked that. The characters were really fun. I guess my biggest complaints are just some of the plot, the pacing. But I guess we'll get into that a little later. But it's not nearly as bad as the critics are saying it is. I enjoyed it. I mean, I had a good time with it. It wasn't my favorite comic book movie, but I didn't walk out of there being like, oh man, the DC cinematic universe is screwed. I think there's actually some hope. There's some cool characters that they can bring back.
Yeah, what would you give it out of 10?
Probably a 6 out of 10.
6 out of 10? Okay, that's not bad.
It's not failing.
Yeah.
It's still good.
Yeah.
It's not the colossal catastrophe that some of these, I'm not going to say who, but some of these critics are saying, not by a long shot.
No, not at all.
I think some people are just over exaggerating, saying this movie was worse than Fantastic Four and Silver Surfer and Green Lantern.
People were saying that?
Yeah, dude. Yeah, there was one outlet that compared Suicide Squad to Fantastic Four, like the new one, like the Josh Trank one. And
I cannot believe
they were brave enough to publish that.
Yeah, they were. It was a pretty gutsy move, if you ask me. But I mean, it's not nearly that bad. And before we even continue, form your own opinion, please. Don't go to a site and see what they say, and then you automatically adapt that as your own opinion and end up not seeing the movie. Because one, it just makes you not look smart, and two, you miss out on a unique experience on seeing the movie for yourself and giving your own personal thoughts on it. So go ahead, go out, see the movie. I mean, I'll give my thoughts later on, but Caboose, what are your thoughts on Suicide Squad?
Well, I've seen it twice. When I saw it the first time, it was for a press screening, and it was a packed house. There were a lot of people, and it was a lot of press. So, it was hard to kind of have the audience in it, and going along and cheering and clapping and laughing for the moments that, deserve that. So I couldn't really get much of, a feeling besides, I liked the movie. But then after seeing it last night, which was the Thursday night, premiere, it was I had such a good time at the theater. Everyone was laughing. Everyone was just having a good time with this movie. And that's kind of what I've taken back from Suicide Squad as a whole, is just that it's a lot of fun, Batman v Superman, I've watched a lot of times, 5 or 6 times in the theaters, and then another 4 times at home at least. And every time I watch it, there are moments at home at least. There's moments where I just skip through because it really starts to tread along and gets boring. But with Suicide Squad, I feel like it doesn't slow down. It's always there's always something going on. The characters and the dialogue and the interaction is always keeping me interested in the movie. So it's fun, but man, oh man, the third act gets messy for me, and the villain of the movie is atrocious, if you're asking me. And if the characters weren't as great as they were, this could have ended up being a serious catastrophe. But the characters were great, so I walked out enjoying the movie a fair amount. So, yeah.
Out of 10, what would you give it?
I give it a score of 7.5 out of 10. And, I mean, maybe I'd knock that down to a 7, but I'm going to stick with 7.5 now. Okay.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you guys on what you said so far. Honestly, at the beginning of the movie, I wasn't sure if I liked it. I don't know. It was just moving at a really fast pace, and it was kind of hard for me to wrap my brain around this being a DC movie, because I'm used to a certain type of DC movie, dark, gritty, a lot of character building, and of course there was character building in the movie, but it felt like, I don't say it didn't feel like a Marvel movie. I wasn't about to say that, but it didn't feel like a DC movie in the beginning. It had this this upbeat soundtrack, songs that I actually know, and I was just I had to keep reminding myself, this is a DC movie, this is a DC movie, this is a DC movie, because it didn't feel like it. I mean, now looking back at the beginning when they were introducing the characters and stuff like that, and kind of letting you know what's been going on.
Right.
I really freaking liked it. I mean,
yeah, the first 20 minutes of the movie is awesome. It's really upbeat and fun. I was into it.
Yeah. So. I was surprised on how much I laughed during this movie. I would go as far to say that this is probably the funniest comic book movie since Deadpool. At least for me personally. The theater I was in, people were dying, especially at some of the things that Will Smith's
Boomerang.
Deadshot said.
Oh, yeah.
Even Captain Boomerang. I feel like kind of everybody had their time to kind of crack a little joke or had a little quip. Even Killer Croc, who says bruh, which I thought was kind of interesting.
I laughed so hard at that part. I was not expecting that.
Yeah, he was just I'm not asking, bruh. And I was wait. I turned to the guy next to me. I was like, did he just say bruh? He was like, yeah, I think he did. I was like, all right, well, let's just go with it. Honestly, Caboose, I have to disagree with you about the third act. I think I enjoyed the third act of the movie more than the first act, honestly.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know why. I just really enjoyed the fight. I do agree with you that the villain is forgettable. Very forgettable. I would say borderlines Baron Zemo bad, but that's a whole other discussion in and of itself.
Yes, it is.
Because one, I didn't even know. They didn't even name. They didn't even give that character a name. At least not that I remember. But I know who it was just because I do research. But I don't know. I feel like they could have picked somebody different. And it was all CG. The final battle was fun. I really enjoyed that. It was it felt really close quarters. It just felt really, I don't know, just felt really cool. Katana's doing some cool stuff.
For me, it felt so weird that David Ayer came out there when he was talking about King Shark and how he's like, oh yeah, King Shark almost made it into the movie, but I didn't want to do that because he would have been an all CG character. And he's like, oh, I'm not too comfortable about that. And I'm like, when I watched Suicide Squad, I really questioned what David Ayer was talking about in not being comfortable with a CG character. I was like, did you watch your own movie? Because there's an all CG character in the movie.
I think he didn't want multiple all CGI characters. I think that's what he meant.
I don't mind the inclusion of Killer Croc over King Shark. I think Killer Croc is a cooler character than King Shark. I didn't understand his point. You know, like he sounded like he was so for the practical effects when the villain of his movie is a pure CGI villain that I think could have been done practically. You know, like I think with enough time and effort, it could have been done practically. Maybe not the size, but the design I think could have.
The design, absolutely, but like the size.
Could, but yeah,
the size.
He's too big.
That would have been really hard unless you put like the actor on stilts or something, or just had him on a wire the whole time. Just had him move his legs like he was running or something.
Well, think of like the giants in Game of Thrones. You know, like they're CGI'd into.
I haven't gotten that far, but thank you for spoiling that.
Really?
Yeah, I haven't gotten that far. I'm only on like season.
I'm on season 2.
What the hell? What are you guys doing?
I just finished season 3.
I'm sorry for the spoiler, but start binging that shit. Get on it. Let's go.
And now I need to.
Oh man, unbelievable.
All right, well, I'm sorry for spoiling it, but like, it's not really like a major spoiler. They don't do this huge introduction for those. But anyways, my point is, there are giants on Game of Thrones, and they're CGI'd into scenes, but there's actual actors that portray them. You know what I mean? So like the actors are dressed as these giants. They're put around green screens and everything, and then they're CGI imposed into a scene with the regular sized actors and everything. So I think they could have done that. I don't know. Just the villain of the movie to me was garbage. Like
kind of do like what they did with the Hobbit. Just a lot of really clever camera work when it came to Elijah Wood or whatever, or whoever's playing a dwarf or whatever, and you have somebody, that's a normal size human, and they're just like they could have done something like that, but for that size, for Suicide Squad, that would have been some really clever camera work if they managed.
Or just not make him a giant. I mean, is that character a giant in the comic books, or because I don't really know too much about it.
I don't know.
To be honest,
Andrew, do you know anything about that?
Not really.
Okay.
Yeah, they could have avoided it being CGI. Now, that's not really my problem with the character. I just found it like weird that David Ayer came out and he was like, "Oh yeah, I didn't put King Shark because I wasn't comfortable with the CGI character." Meanwhile, his movie has a CGI character in it. So
yeah. Now that you mention it, when I really think about it, it was very interesting that he kind of said that. But then when you watch the movie, it's essentially a kind of different story.
Yeah.
But But I guess we can start talking about. Actually, no. Let me talk about characters first, and then we'll throw it over to Alex, and then we'll kind of just start talking about stuff. The characters, Will Smith, absolutely knocked it out of the park as Deadshot, as well as Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn. I was actually really surprised on how well she captured the likeness and just the overall feel of Harley Quinn. I felt like I was watching an episode of the animated series with Arlene Sorkin voicing Harley Quinn. She pulled it off that well. A character that really surprised me, and a character that I absolutely love now, El Diablo. They actually made me care about a character that I had no idea existed until the movie's announcement. They gave him some character development. They gave him an arc. It was just, I care about El Diablo. I want to see more of him. So I mean, and then Jared Leto's Joker. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. When I first started watching it, I did not like it. It was because I'm used to a certain type of way of the Joker being played. Just I don't know. I'm just used to seeing a different type of Joker on screen. Now I'm not saying I didn't like it, but now when I go back and I think about it, it was a fantastic portrayal. It was something unique, something that I never thought I'd see from a cinematic Joker. I do wish he would have had a different kind of set of laughs. The first laugh that he uses is just kind of, because I'm not used to that kind of Joker laugh. I'm just used to that gleeful, just explosive, uncontrollable laughter. And he does do that at certain points in the movie. When he did it, it was great. But that kind of I didn't really like that. I'm gonna be quite honest.
Yeah.
But I want to see more of this Joker, though. I need Jared Leto's Joker in the next Batman movie, and I feel like it's gonna happen.
Oh yeah.
So
I gotta agree with you with the Joker as well. Like when I first saw it, I was unsure how I felt about it, but then I started realizing how uncomfortable I was every time the Joker was on screen, and that contributes a lot to Jared's performance because every time he's in a room full of people, he dominates the room, and he's unsettling. Like for me, I think Heath Ledger is still the definitive Joker performance, but on the flip side of that, I think I'm far more scared of Jared Leto's Joker than I am of Heath Ledger's Joker. You know, Heath Ledger's Joker was a lot more like, this dude is a badass villain, whereas Jared Leto's Joker is more of like, this dude is a terrifying villain.
He's like a psychopath.
You know? Yeah, like he'll kill you and wouldn't bat an eye. You know, like not to say Heath Ledger's Joker wouldn't, but it's just like Jared's Joker literally has no boundaries and is just absolutely no holds barred. And I think he does it very well in this film. But for me, I think what the problem is David Ayer's direction of Jared Leto and maybe Jared Leto's whole method acting thing. I want to see Jared Leto's Joker in a Batman movie directed by Ben Affleck just to see what the difference in the performance might end up being. Just see how Ben Affleck handles the direction of Jared Leto versus how David Ayer did. So that's what I think.
I think I wouldn't say that we would probably get a more reserved Joker, but I definitely do think that some things wouldn't carry over.
Yeah, it toned down a tiny bit, you know?
Yeah. I'll tell you one thing, when he came into that room and he was just like, well, what do we have here? I was like, oh yes! I was like, I love that little line. That line's freaking fantastic. But I think right now I'd give it a 7 out of 10. I'm seeing it again tomorrow. And I'm not expecting my rating on it to go up, maybe to a 7.5, but I don't see it going past that. The characters are great. The plot was just kind of meh. I've seen this plot before in non-superhero movies. The editing was kind of strange in the middle, or towards the ending of the beginning and kind of going into the second act. It was kind of wonky for me. As we all pretty much stated, the villain's kind of trash. So
terrible.
Yeah. Alex, what are your thoughts, man?
I loved it overall, honestly. I would agree that the villain is not good at all. But like for me, the entire the point of the movie is not who the Suicide Squad is fighting, and it's not their adversary. Like, you're going to see the movie for them, and they themselves are also villains. So I don't know, to me, I don't want to detract a villain card from the movie, considering that's what the movie is carried around. And then I don't know, I loved every second that I saw of it, really, and it felt so comic book. That's what I think everyone has been saying, and I completely agree. It just felt like a comic book brought to life. Everything that I saw on screen, I can imagine reading in a Suicide Squad comic, and that was awesome. And there was so much fan service too, just mixed in there with it. And then I think that it was a perfectly cast movie. Everyone just completely nailed their characters. And Josh, like you said, they made you care about every character that was on screen at some point. Everyone had their moments to shine, and that was really awesome.
Well, let's be honest though. Slipknot really shined in this movie. I mean, can we please get a round of applause for Slipknot?
Pretty much the main character.
Oscar worthy.
Honestly.
Oscar worthy performance by Adam Beach.
Yeah.
Hats off to you, sir.
He was so great that you forgot his name. He just transformed.
I did not.
He
see
was Slipknot.
I only saw Slipknot.
Just phenomenal. I mean, I can't
10 out of
believe
10.
how much money they spent on his costume design and sending him to every single press junket, considering how massive of a role he has in this film. It's almost like they should have kept him away from all that stuff.
I did find it interesting though. Like when I was watching the premiere and all the photos, I'm like, the guy playing Slipknot's in there a lot. I was like, well, maybe he doesn't. Spoiler alert. I was like, maybe he doesn't die.
Is that a spoiler? I think everybody knew.
Yeah.
That he was going to kick
everyone
it.
Immediately after he lands on the ground. He tries to go away and gets his head blown off. I was like, Jesus. I was like, he lasted.
Even in the movie, they don't even try to fool you. They don't give him a character introduction.
I noticed that
They don't give
too.
him one of those cool graphics. All they do is it's one line that explains his introduction. A car drives up, and Rick Flagg's like, here's Slipknot, the guy who can climb anything. And that's it. That's all you know about him.
But the thing
There's
is,
your introduction.
That makes me think, I was like, if you had plans on or you just added the character just to just to kill him off.
I think it makes sense. There needed to be that one character that was like cannon fodder to show that Rick Flag and Amanda Waller weren't messing around. Otherwise, like it's like
they weren't bluffing.
Yeah. Otherwise, it's like, well, then Deadshot, Harley, and all them can just run off, and what's the consequence? So they needed that one character who kicks the bucket just to show the team like they can't go anywhere. Like they have to stick around.
I tell you who would have been a better character than Slipknot. Arm
Who's
fall
that?
off boy.
Arm fall off boy.
Very
what a
very good
missed
point.
opportunity that was, not putting him in this movie. I mean,
Unbelievable.
it was him and Plastic Man, like neck and neck race. Get them in there on the second one, please.
I'm sorry, Alex. I'm sorry. We went on a tangent right there. Go ahead, man. I'm sorry.
It's okay. No, but I will say that it definitely feels like a good portion has been taken from this movie, and like we know now that that's exactly what happened, and
Yeah.
I'm really angry about that. I think that's really unfortunate, and that you would think that they'd have learned with what happened with Batman v Superman to let the directors go through with their original vision and not edit it down so much. But I don't know. Besides that, I think that's like my biggest complaint. And then other than that, just the plot. Yeah, like we've seen it before, but to me that wasn't what I was going into the movie for. I wasn't going into the movie for some amazing plot with the fantastic villain. Like I was going into it for the Suicide Squad and their character development and interactions with each other, and that's exactly what I got. So.
Okay. What would you give it out of 10?
Probably a 9, honestly.
Wow. Are you serious?
Yeah, I really liked it. I mean, like, the good outweighs the bad so much for me. Like, I had such a great time while I was watching it, and, like, the more I think about it, the more I love it, and, like, just every aspect. I'll remember a different scene from the movie, and I'll be like, oh my god, that was amazing, and, like, I don't know. It's just...
I hear you on that. There are times where I'm sitting down and I'm starting to think about the movie and some of, like, the scenes that I really enjoyed the most, and it, like, elevates kind of my love for the movie. But for me, at least, like, the third act gets so messy and so out of control that I just, like, I almost get dropped off, and it's like, what is happening here, But I don't know.
Alright, well, I guess now you've heard our spoiler-free thoughts, which is basically kind of our overall thoughts. So this next portion, we're just going to be talking about spoilers and, just the cool things that we liked. Maybe we can talk about a few Easter eggs that we saw.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, if you don't want to hear that, then I guess this is the time for you to click away. Thank you for listening. But the rest of you who are staying, guys, did anybody else like flip the hell out when they saw Batman like glide down to Deadshot?
But did you flip out more when they revived Slipknot and he ended up being the main villain? No, I'm kidding. But
Slipknot unveiled his mask to reveal Harambe. Harambe's alive, guys. Oh my gosh,
dude! When Batman glided down, and that whole interaction with Deadshot, I was fanboying out like nobody's business. It was amazing.
Yeah, I feel
it was so unexpected.
Yeah, I didn't expect it because they were walking down the alley and he shows up. I literally in the theater, I was just like, oh, like that. You saw that reaction to Will Smith when he saw the Batmobile. That was me in the theater, like exactly. I did not expect to see him show up like that at all. I mean, I know he had his little cameo with on the Joker car and and that good stuff. But like that was cool. Like he was just like, it's over, Deadshot. And I was like, ah! I was like, oh my god! I was like, he's here. It's Batman. He's doing stuff.
It was such a good scene for the character of Batman when he says he's like, I don't want to do this in front of your daughter. I was like, that is such a Batman thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
It was such an important moment. So I really appreciated his small but integral role in Suicide Squad.
I think it was such a great character moment for both of them, really, because like Batman had that line, and that was really, really important. And then also for Deadshot, like what they used, like his daughter standing in front of Batman, like no, don't do this, and like really showing his daughter comes before anything else. Like
it made me really. I mean, I've always kind of had a like a soft spot for Deadshot, just kind of knowing his backstory with him and his daughter, and what he really does and how how his daughter feels about that. So seeing that kind of be brought to the big screen and kind of seeing it was kind of hard. It was kind of hard to watch, honestly, because I was just like, because you see Will Smith and you're like, oh, he's such a lovable guy, but he's playing this scumbag who kills people for money, and you have Batman there who's kind of almost seen as the antagonist at that point, because you see Floyd Lawton with his daughter, they're out getting, freaking gifts or whatever, they're talking, and then you see Batman show up, and you're just like, like, no, they were having such a good time, and I was just like, dang it. But I know, Andrew, I know you mentioned on Twitter that you like this version of Batman more in Suicide Squad than you did in BVS. Why is that?
I did. I just felt like he acted more like Batman. He felt more like Batman. And just like Caboose said, just that the moment where he's talking about talking to Deadshot, he doesn't want to do it in front of his daughter. Stuff like that just felt like Batman. I went to the movie with my dad too, and he leans over to me. He's like, "God, I like Batman here a lot more than the Batman vs Superman." I'm like, I do too. And so he just did. I can't really explain it more than that, but I guess I just really loved his short cameos in this movie.
Yeah, I especially like the portion when the Joker car goes off the dock and Batman dives in there, and then like you see Harley and she's like trying to like stab Batman. He just like knocks her in the face, and he just carries her and puts her on the.
Can we talk about how Batman's strong enough to knock someone out underwater?
Yeah.
Like, what the hell, man?
Dude, okay, so the theater I was in, for some reason, I feel like they cranked the sound system up to like 12. I felt that punch in my chest. I was like, oh, Jesus. I felt like he just punched me. Unbelievable.
Batman's strong enough to punch you through the theater screen.
Yeah, basically. Look at that. Amazing.
Okay, and then can we also talk about how it almost seemed like he was making out with Margot Robbie?
Yes,
Yeah.
okay.
I
was
that was
think
weird.
Harley Quinn is the one who made that like sensual, like in the camera. I don't know. I've seen a lot of people say that.
It looked sensual. Like
It
looked like Batman.
I'm gonna tell you exactly what it looked like to me when I first saw it. He put her down, and he had the fist on. He was just like, "Oh, let me get one good one in before she wakes up." And I was just like, "What the hell?" I was like, "Batman, what are you doing?"
It was like, oh, she needs CPR. At least let me make this one count. And then
Yeah, basically, I was just like, they could have chosen a different camera angle.
it could have made it.
I think the camera angle is what destroys it. Honestly, like that's the
guess.
worst part.
Yeah.
It's only like 1 second in the movie. It doesn't bug me that much. I noticed on my second viewing especially, it looks like they're making out.
Yeah.
The way even Harley smiles afterwards, it's like she
I think that's like,
was having
and
a
that's
good
part of
time.
her character. Like she was trying to freak him out.
Yeah, I guess so. Good point.
Also, how the hell did the Joker get away so fast? Like he
He's
seconds
just a
after that.
beast.
After that goes into the water, that boy dips. You don't see him again till like a half hour into the movie.
Your boy Croc helped him out, all right?
He was just like, "Come on, fam, let's go." He was like, "Come on, bro, let's get out of here."
That was another awesome thing, like a nice little, just a little line that's thrown in there when they're talking about Killer Croc and how he was being chased off by Batman. So
Yeah,
like,
he was chased out of Gotham by Batman. That was amazing.
I love that. I love that so much. Killer Croc is such an awesome Batman villain because he's a freak. He's a monster, and I'd love to see in a solo Batman film, Killer Croc versus Batman. That would be badass.
Yeah, I honestly, I would love to see all of the Batman villains in the movie come to the Batman solo film, just because they were all fantastic. I mean, even Killer Croc did a phenomenal job.
Yeah, if the rumors are true about it being set in Arkham Asylum, oh man, I'm gonna lose my mind.
I think they would just loosely adapt the Arkham Asylum, the first game in the series.
And how cool
if that were the case
was it to see Arkham Asylum? We got
So
to see the
cool.
sign. We got to
That
see
was
the
dope.
place itself. Oh my goodness, I was geeking out. It was so good.
That was really good.
Yeah.
And then the other cameo, I'm kind of upset
yeah.
that the cameo got ruined by just really just nosy journalists.
Oh, you
Kinda-
guys got it spoiled for you?
No, I mean, like, I knew he was in the movie, but I didn't, like, physically see anything online. All I knew was that they said, oh, yeah, his name was in, like, the credits or something like that.
Oh,
And
I
thought-
didn't even know.
Yeah, and they made, like, a big deal about Ben Affleck not getting credit for his cameo and all that good stuff. But, yeah, like, the freaking Flash shows up. And, like, in the suit, you see him, like, in the suit. I was just like, I don't remember what he said. I know he said something, but I was, like, kind of screaming.
No honor among thieves.
That's
Yeah.
what he said.
Yeah.
Okay, because I was too busy screaming at the screen when it happened, so I have no idea what he says. But when I see it tomorrow, I'll make sure I actually, don't flip the hell out and actually pay attention.
Yeah, when I saw it on the Wednesday press screening, I was sitting next to this like older woman who didn't know anything about comic book movies and everything like that, and then to the left of me was another woman who was there like with her husband or whatever, and there were just two people that I didn't know. So I was just sitting there like kind of jumping in my seat, and like this woman to the right of me is looking at me like, what is wrong with you? And just I wish that I was there with someone who was a fan of comic books, just so that we could geek out together over the freaking Flash showing up in Suicide Squad, taking down Captain Boomerang. That was one of the coolest things, bar none, in a comic book movie that I've seen. As a fan of the Flash and how much love I have for that character, seeing him show up in this movie was like a freaking dream come true. It was
absolutely
so cool, so cool, and I'm so glad I'm so glad they threw something like that in, because it's a nice little moment that's peppered into the movie that just reassures you that Suicide Squad is a part of some massive DC universe that has finally come to life. So
yeah, they did a fantastic job piecing everything together. They let you know throughout the movie, letting you know this still takes place in the same universe as Batman v Superman. This takes place after Batman v Superman, so don't think that this is some kind of like Elseworld story, or this is completely separate from, you know, the rest of the DC movie canon. So I applaud them for doing that. It was really, really, really good. I wish the cameos were longer, honestly, especially Batman's. Like, I wanted to see him go toe to toe with the entire squad, just because, you know. I think the Batman Return to Arkham, not the Return to Arkham, Batman Assault on Arkham, kind of was like made me want that, but I was happy with it. You gonna say something, Alex?
Oh, I was gonna say that like I wanted basically every like portion of the movie to be longer, honestly.
Yeah.
All of the interactions between the characters and just everything. I wanted more.
Yeah,
okay, well, since we're in the sorry, go ahead, Josh.
No, go ahead. You're fine.
Well, I was gonna say, since we're in the spoiler section, I guess now we can talk about the villain being the Incubus and the Enchantress.
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't know about you guys, but for me, like, I wouldn't say it's worse than something like Doctor Doom from Fantastic Four, or, you know, the weird brain guy from Green Lantern, but like it was a bad pair of villains in Suicide Squad for me. They weren't intimidating at all. I mean, in the third act, you got the whole squad going up against this girl who's controlling a giant cloud. She got giant pieces of debris circling the entire area of the squad. There's electricity. She's starting to destroy the freaking world. And all they are, you got Deadshot who shoots guns from his wrist. You got Harley Quinn with a baseball bat. And they're like joking around and messing around and having fun. And like no one's scared or intimidated at all. There's a giant standing next to them. And it's like, what? Are you guys not intimidated or scared at all? There's this girl doing stuff that you've never seen in your entire life right in front of you. How are you not freaking out? I mean, I know they're villains, I get it, but like, what the hell, you know? It's just, it was so weird to me that they weren't at all intimidated by the villain, and it made the villain feel so weak compared to the squad, because no one was scared of her, no one was intimidated by her, and then Harley Quinn takes her down like it's nothing, you know? It was a weak villain, and man, it brought the film down a lot for me.
Yeah, I was really surprised. I was like, wow, I'm like, they gave Harley the kill shot. Okay, whatever. I kind of just went along with it. But yeah, like, essentially Incubus was a legit random guy that Enchantress pulled off the street. The dude was in the bathroom washing his hands. Really, you knock him out and you give him some voodoo gas, and he turns into Incubus. Like, what? Like, why?
And then they had this weird reverse talking different language conversation about the world and technology and how machines rule the world now. So she's like, I'm gonna build a machine, and it's like, yo, what are you talking about exactly here? Can we get past this, please? Like, I need more Will Smith making jokes and Captain Boomerang having a cool Australian accent, please. And enough of this dumb reverse talking shit. I had enough, you know. Like, there was I really hated the villains in this movie, guys.
I thought
just despised them.
Just compared to everyone else and how good they were, like, in their character, I thought Kara was just really bad. I thought her acting was terrible.
Her acting wasn't really the best. I mean, I know she's not essentially, she is an actress, but I mean, I don't think it's really her strong suit.
Yeah.
Or maybe it was just the lines that she was giving. They were kind of they were poorly delivered. There wasn't really a lot of emotion, you know, when there needs to be emotion. You know, like when she was sleeping and she said Enchantress in her sleep, and then, you know, and she goes to go do that stuff, she comes back. Like, you can't really see the emotion. It was just like she was just delivering lines, you know? Like, she doesn't want to turn into this witch, and you don't really see that. Of course, you hear her say the words, you know, I don't want to do that again, or something like that, but you don't feel that she means it, you know?
I feel like what upsets me, too, about the villain is, like, it just ever so conveniently happens as soon as the Suicide Squad start getting formed. You know? Like, the villain rises up the moment that Amanda Waller starts talking about forming Task Force X and everything like this. It's like, how convenient is that? I would have liked it a lot more if the villain was introduced straight from the beginning of the movie and the Suicide Squad is formed because that villain
would have made
has
more
risen.
sense.
You know, it would have made way more sense.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
Yeah.
Also, I mean, I enjoyed Joel Kinnaman as Rick Flag, but was I the only one that was kind of confused about this accent the man was using? At first, he would use this Southern accent, this thick Southern accent at the beginning of the movie.
Yeah.
And then he didn't. And then it popped up again when in the helicopter when he's introducing Katana, and it's just like, what are you going with, man? Like, please pick. It almost reminded me of Kate Mara's like hair like fiasco in Fantastic Four. First it was blonde, then it was like not blonde, then it was in a ponytail, then it was down. It's just like, stick with something, and stick with it. Don't like keep doing, oh man, let me try this for this scene, and then let me try that. No, if you're gonna stick with an accent, stick with the accent. If you're not gonna do it, don't do it. That stood out to me so much in the movie, and I was just like, I was kind of annoyed.
I kind of liked
Rick Flag. I didn't even notice, honestly.
Yeah, I didn't really notice that either. I kind of liked Rick Flag. I mean, I heard a lot of people just really didn't like his character as a whole. I kind of liked him. I kind of like his back and forth with Deadshot, and I liked how by the end of the movie he grew such a respect for Deadshot. You know, like he hated Deadshot. And he hated the idea of having all these villains and everything go out and venture out and do this mission. But by the end of the movie, he has like such a respect for all of them, and he knows like they're not all bad. So I kind of liked his character. It's just he probably wasn't given much to work with, especially considering he was like so tied to Enchantress and this whole love interest and everything. Yeah. And it was like, you know.
I tell you what, though, I couldn't see Tom Hardy playing that character. I just can't.
I keep imagining what it would have ended up like if Tom Hardy
didn't even think about that.
Yeah,
I couldn't imagine just some of the lines that he said and just the way that I think the way that Joel Kinnaman kind of carried the character of Rick Flag. I just couldn't see Tom Hardy in that role. It just doesn't seem like something that Tom Hardy would do. You know, that seems like the kind of role that essentially anybody could kind of do. You know, but Tom Hardy, I don't know. I just feel like I'm kind of glad he left the project because I don't think he was the right fit for that kind of character and what he needed to bring to that character.
Not to like diss the movie or anything, and not to sell Joel Kinnaman's role or his performance short, but I think it was a good miss for Tom Hardy to not be in this movie. Not because I don't think he would have been able to handle the role, but because I don't think it wouldn't have been good if he ended up being what Rick Flag was in the movie with as much of a high caliber actor as he is, you know, like he was so second fiddle to everything. He was so second fiddle to everything. He wasn't even like the third supporting character under Harley Quinn. Like he was even probably below Diablo and maybe even below like Captain Boomerang. You know, like he was such a low character on the scale of the importance of each character in the film. So I don't know if Tom Hardy would have been comfortable with that, and it could have led to a lot more problems. So I'm glad Joel Kinnaman got the role because it suits him more as who he is as an actor.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Can we talk about how awesome the Deadshot scene was, where he just took charge and laid waste to the entire horde of enemies, and like everyone had to stop shooting because there was no more targets.
Because he was just wasting them.
They were all like headshots, weren't they?
I don't know, whatever he was doing, he was kicking so much ass, and when the score kicks in at that part, it was so awesome, and it kind of showed me like
built.
Yeah, it kind of shows me how like how much potential this movie had to be absolutely phenomenal. And granted, Alex, you found it that way, but for me, like how much potential this movie had more to be like even greater. But that was like such a pocket of greatness that it elevates my experience with the movie more. And that's one of the scenes where like I go home and I sit back and I start thinking about what I loved about the movie, and like that's the first thing that comes to my mind is that scene when he's just wasting that horde of putties from the Power Rangers.
What do they call them? Like the something? Like the Watchers or something?
Know.
I don't know.
The Enchantros? I don't know.
Enchantress and
Trademarked.
her lovely minions. I don't know. You know what character that really... So actually, two characters that really surprised me. El Diablo and Amanda Waller.
Yes.
That was the... I mean, that's exactly the way I want to see Amanda Waller brought to screen. The way
wall.
everything that she did, the things that she did, and the things that she said, the way that how she could just take somebody and just play with them in her hand. It was just fantastic. Viola Davis did a phenomenal job. I really think so.
Yeah, she was like perfectly casted in that role.
Yeah, and then El
Absolutely.
Diablo, a character I knew nothing about. I love El Diablo. Like I said, I mean, it sucks that he died, but I mean, but I actually cared about him. You know, his backstory with him, you know, his wife and his kids, and now he has a problem with anger, and then because of that anger, he killed his entire family, and I was just like, dang, dude, that sucks. And now I understand why he didn't, in the beginning of the movie, he didn't want to fight, because he's like, I killed my family. I wasted all these dudes in the prison, you know, and I like the line that he said. I might be paraphrasing a bit, but he was like, I'll die before I raise my hand against another person again. And I was just like, dang, bro, like I feel bad for you. So like that whole scene in the bar was just phenomenal. I really enjoyed it.
I have to agree. He almost got to the point where he was just like doing nothing, and you kind of started getting frustrated with why he's not fighting, and then you find out his whole backstory in the bar scene of how he killed his family, and then you're just like, whoa, this dude has had one hell of a life. And I agree, he ended up becoming one of my favorite characters from the movie. Yeah, he had a really cool arc.
Yeah, he was one of the things that I found most redeeming about the third act, is his involvement in it. And like when he has this moment about like, I killed my family once, or like I let my family die once, I'm not gonna let my other family die, you know, like he had such a heroic moment, and above all the other members of the Suicide Squad, he was the one to go from villain to hero. Like Deadshot, he's still a bit of a scummy guy, he's still got some problems in his past, you know. Harley Quinn is as crazy as ever, she didn't change, you know. Slipknot is still a phenomenal villain, definitely expecting him to show up down the line. Boomerang is a dickhead, but a lovable one. But Diablo was like the guy who he was an absolute despicable villain. He killed his family. He was just a brutal person. And then he turned and he became such a hero by the end of the movie. So it was one of the things I enjoyed about the third act was his moment, I guess you could say. And his character arc overall in the film was the best one for me.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you guys have anything to add about like Joker? Because I haven't heard anybody really talk about.
Can we talk about the Alex Ross homage?
Yes!
Oh, I forgot about that. Oh,
listen,
yes,
I don't
like,
care. I don't care if it was out of place. I don't care if it had no business being in the movie because it's not a scene or anything. But just seeing it,
dude,
thank you, David
the
Ayer.
Jester costume.
It was pure fan service.
Best scene in the
It was
movie.
Exactly.
amazing.
Oh, the Jester costume. I
happy.
think I actually shed a tear when I was watching that. Because at first I was just like, what is this? I was like, oh my! I was like, ah! I was like, it's the Jester costume. I was like, they're doing the Alex Ross thing. I was like, oh, buddy, that was one of my favorite like moments. I want to see the movie in HD and like take a screenshot and just like post that all over my walls and everything. It was just so beautiful. The Jester costume looks so great. I wanted to see like that be Harley's like costume in the movie. But I mean, gosh, man, that was so cool.
So good.
If they had a flashback in the Batman solo movie with her wearing the Jester costume and
That'd
Don't
Joker,
tease me
So
like
great.
that, Ander. Do not tease me like that. I'll end up like flipping the hell out. Oh my god, it was so much fun.
Yeah,
But-
no, that was definitely one of the coolest moments. And that's where, like, when you see David Ayer talking about how this movie is for the fans, that's where I get it. You know,
Yeah.
it's like, stuff like that is what he means when he says that this movie is a lot for the fans, more so than it's for, like, you know, a movie critic or something like that. And that's not to say that you should be making movies like that, but at the same time, it's like, as a comic book fan, I have a lot of respect for him doing something as cool as that. Having something like that being brought to life in live action, with as high as a budget as Suicide Squad would have, so that it's done to perfection, is something that I could not appreciate more. So, like, thank you, David Ayer. If you're listening to me, I bow down to you. Okay? I hated the third act of your movie, but I love the fan service.
Oh, okay. Sorry, David, if you're listening.
I'm sorry.
I was gonna mean.
I loved all of it. That counts.
Oh, man. All right, so I guess before we get out of here, why don't we go ahead and talk about the post-credit scene and what we think that means for the DCEU going forward. So I guess I'll describe it from what I remember. Caboose, actually, you know what, Caboose, why don't you do it, since you've seen the movie more than I have.
Okay, so we see the cool little credits, and then we see the Suicide Squad logo, and boom, we cut to the scene of Amanda Waller talking to Bruce Wayne in that same little restaurant that she was talking to the army guys about Suicide Squad and all that. And she's explaining to Bruce Wayne basically that after the events of Suicide Squad, there's kind of a hit on her, and there's people who have power and they have the ability of leverage, and they can take her out. So she wants Bruce Wayne to provide to her some immunity so that she doesn't, get taken out. And in return for Bruce Wayne offering immunity to Amanda Waller and his protection of her, she gives him the documents and the files to the Justice League, to Arthur Curry, Barry Allen, and she gives that to Bruce Wayne, obviously leading into Justice League and how Bruce knows the whereabouts of these characters and how he knows where to venture out to find these characters. And then it, of course, ends with Amanda Waller basically implying that she knows Bruce is Batman by saying, you should stop going out at night, or you should stop working night shifts. And Bruce replying with saying, you should shut it down, saying that him and his friends can handle it. The Justice League is here, it's coming, and we don't need a Suicide Squad anymore, according to Bruce Wayne, even though we probably should get some more Suicide Squad films, because this film has got some good characters.
Pretty good. Yeah, it's pretty good. Pretty good, man. Yeah. Yeah, I saw a bunch of people who were just like, okay, I'm gonna say this because I'm just stupid, or I legit thought while she was talking to him, I didn't think that was Bruce Wayne. I actually thought that was Hush. I'm not even kidding. I was just like, wait a second. I was like, this doesn't look like Bruce Wayne. I was like, why is he talking to Amanda Waller? Deals? What are they talking about, deals? I was like, oh my god, they're doing Hush. And then I got my heart shattered when I saw the file. I was like, all right, well, forget whatever. I legit thought it was Hush. I'm not even kidding.
I mean, that'd have been cool.
Yeah.
But I don't know where you got that from, Josh.
Pulled that out of thin air.
Yeah, I really did. I was just like, is that Hush? I'm grasping at straws here, man. I'm looking for every little thing just to kind of pick it out, see if maybe I'm missing something. I think it's because he had shaved down the beard.
Yeah.
So
he did look different. He did look different.
Yeah. But Suicide Squad is a very good movie. I say definitely check it out. If you're even remotely interested in the movie or DC movies in general, watch it. It's a fun time. You'll laugh. You might shed some tears like me. It's fun. Just get some popcorn. Sit down with some buddies. Sit down with your wife. Your husband or whatever, and just just have a good time. It's a fun movie. So don't listen to the critics. Form your own opinion. If you like it, you like it. You don't, oh well. Don't start arguments with people that don't like it. Don't start arguments with people who do. People have their own opinions. Just let that be what it is, and yeah. Yeah. I guess that is it for our review for today. I'd like to thank everyone for joining us. Thank you, gorgeous gals and handsome dudes and stuff. It was fun. I keep saying that. I don't know why. I think that might be a new thing.
Which one of us are you calling a girl exactly?
No, not you guys. People listening. Jesus. Oh my god. Alex, where can people find you at?
You can find me on Twitter at APBatman with 2 T's. And come by, talk Batman or anything comics, really.
Word. Andrew?
I'm on Twitter, Andrew Writer. Yeah, come on by. I'm always up to talk about comics. Aquaman, of course.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Caboose?
You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook at Caboose_XBL. I also got a YouTube channel by the same name where I'm covering the upcoming Spider-Man game, Injustice 2, and talking all sorts of comic book movies and a lot more. So subscribe if you want to. I'm not going to force you to, but I mean, I think I pitched a pretty good deal here. You know?
I saw you get like super mad when people about the whole like Spider-Man PS4 exclusivity. That was interesting.
Listen, it's dumb. All right.
Hey man, I don't really care. I have a PS4, so I'm gonna play.
Same.
Hey, so do I. But like, I'm trying to scream here that Spider-Man is an IP that amongst the 7 billion people on Earth, a majority of them know. So why is he being locked to one console? You know, it's some bullshit. All right. I don't want to get into that rant. That's for another day.
You can find me on Twitter at Dark Knight of Ren. That's 1K for the Dark of the Night. I run a page on Instagram called DCEU News. Check out comicdrops.com. We have some shirts in. We're partnered with Avengers Unite. We're bringing some pretty sweet merch to you guys. They're all on sale. If you like looking fly, you like phone cases and like other cool stuff. And as always, keep it locked to comicdrops.com for the latest news and superhero media and stuff and things and other things. And we'll see you guys later. Peace.